Moving on to public forum, is there anyone here who'd like to address the council on anything that's not on the agenda? If not, we'll move on. No appointments, old business. Ordinance number 141825, amended nuisance regulations.
Good evening. This is the presentation of the second reading. The one change that was made after recommendation at the last meeting was to add the administrator and public works director have the authority to grant exceptions for agricultural use land for special circumstances on a case-by-case basis. So that then gives Brent and Rodney the authority to determine if a ditch is too steep or if there's safety concerns, they can address that and make exceptions. The other thing is the ordinance as in the packet was dated for Tuesday, so the date would be changed to today if it is approved.
Any questions or comments?
Motion to approve ordinance 1418-25 to amend city's nuisance regulation for second reading.
Second. Have a motion to approve ordinance 1418-25, second reading. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to the new business. Approve a real estate contract with the USD 262.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Nice to see you all on this beautiful day or evening. Before you is a contract with USD 262 School District conveying the ground in the Trails End subdivision that we recently had brought forth in front of the council to convey, as part of our packet to attract and retain the new elementary school here inside our corporate limits. And so here's the actual mutual agreement, the contract for purchase of the real estate itself. If you've driven by lately, you've probably seen some stakes in the ground. So planning is underway, and I'll leave it up to our incredible superintendent of 262 schools, Greg Lear, if he wants to let everyone know what's coming up here in the near future or not. I'd probably turn over to him to let you know some exciting dates coming up, but this is the contract for the exchange of the property. So, great.
Sorry, yeah, I wasn't planning on being here tonight. I was supposed to be in Topeka, but the weather actually changed my plans. So happy to be here in front of the council. So definitely excited about what's to come. The plan, we just had our owners meeting today. You'll see trailers start showing up. The plan actually will be within the next few weeks to break ground. We'll start to get mobilized, right? Some of those fancy big words they'll use. Those will get started here in the next few weeks. We actually will have a groundbreaking. We're going to do a ground bringing. We're going to do something different where we're actually going to bring dirt from each one of our USD 262 properties and schools. And we'll have students and staff dump the dirt on the site. And then we'll have either our Board of Education, different members actually turn the dirt into the new school properties. So kind of a different way of doing it. It'll be a smaller ground bringing, but then the ribbon cutting that we have come August of 2026 will be a bigger party, cheerleaders and band and everything. So right now we're on schedule to get everything done before August of 2026. We should be raring to go. You see all that start happening here in the next month or so. Dan, for any questions that you might have.
Have any questions? Yes, thank you.
Make a motion to approve contract to sell real estate located at Lot 1, Block F in the Trails Edition of Valley Center, Kansas for $1.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the real estate contract with USD 262. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to Planning and Zoning Board minutes of January 28th.
Good evening again. Normally, this is just a consent item. However, with the consideration of the comp plan adoption, you guys have to receive these minutes prior to the comprehensive plan presentation and adoption. So just asking for approval of the minutes, for receiving of the minutes.
Motion to accept and file minutes from the January 28, 2025 Planning and Zoning Board meeting.
Second. Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the Planning Zone Board minutes of January 28th. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to ordinance 1420-25, the comprehensive plan adoption.
Alrighty, so this will be a little bit longer presentation because I'm going to go through the comprehensive plan for you this evening. And just to let you know, so you've already received the minutes, then I'll present the plan. After I present the plan, I ask that you guys would open a public hearing, allow for public comment, and then have any discussion amongst yourselves, and then call for a motion to consider. That's the process that we need to go through for this plan this evening. So first, I just wanted to highlight on the second and third page, you'll see some text in red. Those are just items that need to be updated based on dates of adoption and ordinance numbers. So those will be updated appropriately when the plan is officially adopted. I wanted to thank everybody involved in this process, staff that participated in reviews with my reminding emails, and there's a lot of reading involved, as well as our Planning and Zoning Board and our Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee. They all put a lot of work into this, late evening meetings, a lot of reading, but I think we're very happy with the plan that we have. So just to let you know what the comprehensive plan does for us, it allows us to have subdivision regulations. It provides us future land use component, to ensure efficient, balance, and compatible land development, and provides a legal foundation for the judicial review of zoning cases. Having an up-to-date plan can also be a prerequisite for grants. It is also a leadership tool intended to guide policy decisions in directions that will accomplish long-term community planning goals. By statute, our Planning and Zoning Board is responsible for preparing, adopting, and maintaining the plan. At the January 28th meeting, they held a public hearing, which was published with the appropriate time frame, and approved the plan by resolution 01282025. And then again, next step is for council to consider it. I will quickly just highlight time frame. This started back in May of 24. We held 5 public meetings on top of outside of those meetings. We had steering committee meetings and a community questionnaire that went out which had about 650 responses to it to help compile data for this plan. This is just showing you the demographics of those that responded to the community questionnaire that I just referenced. More females than males. We did make that available to people inside and outside the city because this plan does take into account our planning area, which is beyond our city limits. So we wanted people providing input on the plan that do not necessarily live in Valley Center corporate limits. This slide will show you the planning area. It's that thick black line. So it goes a little bit beyond our, the dark yellow is city limits. The lighter yellow is our current urban growth area. The black line presents our planning area. So we are extending a little bit to the north and east, up to the county line, and a little bit to the west, past Ridge Road. So there were several planning principles that were looked at or taken into consideration for completing the plan. They were quality of life, community health, sustainability, and then we also look at demographic trends to help us make plans for the future. There's a history section that encompasses prior to incorporation up to present day. One of the recommendations in this section is that we look at preserving our historic buildings through doing a inventory with the state. There is geography, climate and soils of our area, topography, drainage, floodplain information, woodlands, trees, a lot of general information about the area that we're encompassing in this plan, the area of Valley Center, to make sure that, going forward, we have, on paper today, and for the next 10 years, we're looking at the conditions of our community currently and taking those into account as we plan for the future. I'll also stop on this slide just to say at the end of each chapter, there are goals listed. They are also reiterated at the end of the plan. So at the end of my presentation, I was going to go over the goals. Background data. Most of this data included in this document that was not from the community survey was from the 2020 census and the 2018 to 2022 American Community Survey 5-year estimates. And that's important to know because there are tables and information in here that you might question or wonder where it came from, and it's from basically census data. And because the census is already a couple years old, some of the data might not seem to 100% line up, but that's because we don't have current census data. The rest of it's estimates. And that came into question several times in our steering committee meetings and our planning and zoning meetings. We were questioning the data that was used, but once we looked at where it came from, it made sense that, oh, well, community's grown in the last 3 years already, so it's, the population might look small, but it's because we're looking at old data. Again, these are just all population slides showing data trends. Specifically, from 1970 to 2020, Valley Center averaged a 24% growth per decade. And then so the steering committee and the planning and zoning board were asked, what do you project as, appropriate growth for Valley Center for the planning period? They both settled on 25 to 30% because that's on track with what we've done historically. So this slide just kind of shows you projections. They gave us anywhere from 10 to 40%. They thought conservatively in the middle would be fine. So by 2040, they're estimating potentially close to 12,000. So just to kind of give you an idea where we might be in 10 years. Then there's additional demographics in here just comparing Valley Center to the state and the rest of the country. This is data from our community's questionnaire, the makeup of the people that responded. Then it goes into household types, how many people in each household. One of the statistics they popped out was 62% of our occupied housing units contain 1 or 2 person households. So that was kind of interesting to see that the household size, the average is a little bit smaller. Then it goes into our economy, our employment numbers, income, what our city debt is, taxing entities and what those are in our jurisdiction. There's also data on our incoming and outgoing employment force. So the picture here on the right, we have 100 or 1,200, almost 1,300 people coming into Valley Center for work a day. And we have a little over 3,100 going out of the community for work a day, which I thought, again, was an interesting number. And then again, this is the city debt and the tax levy information. Then it goes into transportation, road classification, parking. They do recommend us completing a parking study, especially for the downtown area. And highlights our walkability and biking facilities, as well as other transportation options that we have nearby, whether it be train or plane, with the numerous airports that are around Valley Center. And it goes into utilities. It highlights the city utilities. We obviously have water, sewer, and stormwater. We also facilitate trash service. And then it highlights our electric, gas, and communication utility providers. And it goes into our facilities, looks at overviews of all our facilities, when they were built, added on to, changed. It goes into some of our public safety equipment fleets. And then it gets into our parks and highlights our parks as well, and all the facilities that are there, and highlights the condition of these facilities as well. And it goes into USD 262 facilities. And as you all know, we don't own those facilities, but those facilities do put a lot into our community. And so it highlights all the facilities. And again, age of the facilities, condition of the facilities. The rec facilities are included in this as well. And that also kind of helps show that, where we are at this point in time, and it helps us plan again for the future. Then we go into the land use plan. There's the existing land use plan to show where we are today. There's examples of current buildings that are in these zoning districts. I'm sorry, I'll go back here real quick. So you can see it. There's a thick blue line that is the city limits on these. And then the black line is, again, our planning area. So you're seeing existing land use inside the city limits and in our planning area as of today. Then it goes into just pictures of our current housing stock and commercial buildings, just to give examples of the types of buildings that we have in our community today. Then it goes into our future land use. Now, this is the very important part. So we are looking at potential uses of the land for the next 10 years. We're not necessarily saying that's what it has to be, but we're trying to identify what is a appropriate use of the land in the next 10 years as we foresee growth. Both the steering committee and the planning and zoning board looked at these maps multiple times. We have multiple revisions. So I think we're in a great place for them. Again, might not be perfect, but we are trying to foresee the next 10 years and what we can think appropriate land use might be on some of these parcels of land. So again, the thick black line is the planning area. And then it goes into showing, what we think might be single family use someday, residential, commercial, everything's included in this. And it goes into our downtown. It lists kind of the makeup of our downtown, the borders of our downtown district. They do recommend in this that we increase our downtown overlay district area, which is important to note. Then it highlights our regulatory tools. So we have zoning regulations, subdivision regulations, construction and environmental codes. And then it goes over our annexation process and our extraterritorial jurisdiction and our site plan review process. So those are all regulatory tools that we have in place. We have policies, ordinances in place to govern those that help us make sure that our development in our community is consistent across the board. And several of those things are because we have a comprehensive plan and we look at these things regularly. Resources section just kind of covers funding opportunities, so grants, economic development opportunity, partnerships that we can have, and housing. And then implementation. So just to highlight, we've begun the adoption process. We have completed the planning and zoning steps, and the governing body is now at the point to look at approving the plan. We're asked that you have three options to consider. You can approve the plan this evening for first reading. You can override planning and zoning's recommendation and return the plan to them for further consideration. Planning and zoning is required to review this annually, so they might just review it. They might not have any changes, but annually they look at it, and if there are any amendments necessary to make, they'll make a recommendation, then that will come before council. And then so chapter 10 is just all about goals. So each section, as I mentioned, has goals at the end of it, and then they're just reiterated at the end of the plan. So they're broken out into sections, but community goals, historic preservation, floodplain regulations, trees. Transportation system goals include streets, sidewalks, biking facilities. Utility goals include policies, electricity, specifically municipalizing, water, wastewater, and then there's stormwater management goals. So each utility that we operate has goals set for it. City facility goals. Each facility, there are needs. Some of them they did list maybe more heightened things that need addressed at certain facilities, as well as our parks facilities. Each park, they listed goals for each of them. Our land use goals, including we need to, with this comp plan adoption, we need to look at our policies and regulations for subdivision and zoning. So those potentially might require some updates in the near future as well. They focused a lot on our downtown area, and so there are a lot of goals set for our downtown specifically, and then housing, just essentially diversifying, continuing to build upon the housing stock that we have, and making sure that we have housing available for all income levels. So if you don't have any if you have questions, I'm here. Paul Springer, our vice chair of our planning and zoning board, is here as well this evening. If you have any questions for either of us, again, I would ask that you do open time up for a public hearing, and then once you guys have had your chance for discussion, ask that you consider approving the ordinance for first reading.
I have one question. We have a lot of area influence in this plan. How much weight does that carry with the MAPC group when it comes to outside the city limits development?
So I'm trying to get the map pulled up just to reference it. So we have two different areas. There is our extraterritorial jurisdiction that we have the say as our Valley Center planning and zoning. Sorry, that was all on one page. So our extraterritorial jurisdiction, we have say our planning and zoning board reviews those items that would normally be in Sedgwick County. We have the say on those. Our urban growth area is where we get notified of things happening within the 3 mile, give or take. Yeah, whatever the map is. We get notified. So if it's in our extraterritorial jurisdiction, it falls to us. If it's outside of our extraterritorial jurisdiction, we get notified of something happening with the MAPC.
Any other questions or comments? We just open it up to the public now. Okay. Any public comments about the comprehensive plan? If not, I'm going to close the public hearing. Oh, okay, Paul.
Paul Spranger, 27 North High Point Road in the city. Yeah, this is having some experience in my previous life with Edge City, north of a metropolitan area, and just like it is here. In fact, we had Meridian Street running right through. It's I can tell you from experience that as that community grew, I was on the planning commission for about 12 years. And Valley Center right now is at that tipping point. You can tell the way that Wichita is growing, it's starting to grow north. You just tell by the traffic is that we've got an opportunity as a community to really set the vision for what Valley Center is going to be. If you set the vision and you hold to it, they will come, and it'll be the kind of development that you want to come. I would really emphasize that the downtown streetscape is really, really important. You see a couple of illustrations in there in terms of making the community a charming community and attractive with lighting. The work done on North Meridian has been terrific. You get kind of the feel for what the community can be. So I'm here for you to really encourage you to adopt this plan. A lot of public input, a lot of work on the committee, and so I think it's a great vision. And of course, obviously, it's always subject to revision, but going forward, because it is a 10-year outlook, I think all of us are going to be extremely proud of what Valley Center is going to become, and that is a charming, family-oriented, small town feel, and I think that's what everybody wants. And it creates we've got a great school system. That, by the way, is the anchor for a community like this to grow in a very attractive way. So I commend you as a city council on providing one of your own to help with a lot of it, which you worked hard and showed up at every meeting. And I think Valley Center is on its way in a way that I think when you look out to 10 years from now, we're all going to be just amazed at what Valley Center becomes. And look at our community to the east of us. They're a little bit landlocked, and I think we're going to become the place for everybody wants to live. And we're going to have the nice part about that is up on 135, some of that commercial development, including the casino, is going to provide jobs, and people are very interested in living in our community, our adjacent community, become a place to live. So once again, close with the fact that think carefully about the downtown, the streetscape, the investment, because I can tell you from experience, it will pay off hugely in multiple ways, and especially the quality of life. So that's all I have to say.
Anybody else? I'll close the public hearing. Any questions, comments from the council? We have a motion to approve first reading.
Motion to accept the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Board and approve for first reading ordinance 1420-25, approving the Valley Center 2025 through 2035 comprehensive plan as the official comprehensive plan for the city of Valley Center.
Second.
Have a motion and second to approve ordinance 1420-25 comprehensive plan adoption for first reading. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on, award the bid for the 2025 raw water services and maintenance contract.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. This will be the first of two RFPs that we put out. We have the results back. Our raw water wells, we only got one bid out back from Sargent, who's been taking care of our wells so far. Doing a good job. That, if the council agrees, we recommend that we award a bid from Sargent Drilling for 2025 raw water well services in the amount of $54,570. Now, with the math, that basically, when you look at their bid, that's $18,190 per year. And that's renewable every year for 3 years by Nutrient.
Any questions or comments? We get a motion to approve.
Make a motion to accept the 2025 water and well services amount $54,570 and authorize the mayor or the city administrator to sign. Second.
Have a motion and a second to award the bid for the 2025 raw water services and maintenance to Sergeant Drilling. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to the award the bid for the 2025 roadway upgrade services.
Once again, we have this is essentially our annual mill and overlay work. We identified 2 street segments to equal approximately 18,860 square yards of pavement for a 2-inch mill and overlay. And we received 2 bids, one from Pearson Construction, one from APAC. As you can see, they were very, very close. Staff is recommending we award the bid to APAC Kansas in the amount of $283,575. Authorize city mayor or city administrators.
Any questions? Gina?
Where does this leave Seneca?
So we discussed, you mean South Seneca that we discussed before? We discussed that, 2 meetings ago, Mr. Clerk, that we were gonna look at that, and then that was on the schedule from, Wampum, correct? So that's coming up with Wampum money. So we decided to push
No.
that off, so.
Not that I'm arguing against this.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think this definitely needs to be done.
Yes, ma'am. I agree.
Any other comments? Motion to approve.
Motion to approve the award of the negotiated proposal for the 2024 roadway upgrade services of the selected street segments from APAC of Kansas in the amount of $283,575. Authorize the mayor or city administrator to sign.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to award the bid of the 2025 roadway upgrade services to APAC. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to staff reports. Kyle. Neil.
Evening again, Mayor, members of council. Just wanted to report on mention I made last time about a couple of open positions in our department. Happy to say that we were able to fill one of those. The other one fell through, and we're having to open the position back up. So we're still accepting position or application for that position. But the gentleman that was hired, his name is Jonathan Holdaway, and actually started today. So we're thankful to have him and welcome aboard. Hopefully we can get into one of these meetings and introduce him. Thank you.
Lloyd? Rodney?
Did include a brief staff report with some project pictures. Hopefully they were clear enough. If not, some pictures of those little tiny little ponds they're putting out there at Harvest Place. And we had a brief meeting on Meridians. We talked to Zach Rainier, the project superintendent, and he, once again, with all the snow and the weather, he said once we get past this next, with our current phase of weather, he's going to reevaluate where things are and put together an updated schedule. So obviously there's going to be yet another delay. We'll know more about that once he puts together another schedule. Question?
Thank you, Rodney. BC, Barry? Clint?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Brief update on People's Bank. We're on the very tail end of getting that completed. I think in the next 14 days, we will make the conversion from Interest Bank over to People's Bank. What we're waiting on right now is a few things out of our control, like actually getting the physical checks that we're going to be writing on and stuff like that. They were ordered long ago. They just have not arrived. So some of these things are, but I think we're going to finish up here in the next 14 days. And anxious about that. Excited about that. The other news is we did have a very, very large reception of over 135 applicants for the accounting clerk 2 position. Lindley Freighter will be starting next Friday, and we're excited about that. She's actually a Valley Center resident, and that's going to be very convenient for us, having somebody so close by that can kind of help out with some unusual hours that might pop up if somebody else is ill or something like that. So we're excited to have her on board, and similar to what Neil said, I'll be happy to bring her to a meeting here in the weeks to come when she gets started. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Christie.
I would just like to thank the city and Brent Clark. The rec center is a huge, huge thing for our community and our employees. And the city is offering our employees memberships as long as they use it. We really encourage it. This was discussed at our wellness committee. And this week during their soft opening, that's one of our try it, you'll like it. So all of our employees are able to go up, look at the equipment, look at the pool, look at the gyms, and really try it and make sure that it's something that will be utilized. And it's only because of the great city that we live in and the rec center. So I just wanted to thank them.
Thank you. Brent?
Well, Christy stole my thunder. No, I'm just kidding. The time has finally come. So I'm sure everybody already knows the rec center will be having its grand opening on Saturday, the 22nd, after a lengthy process. This is one of the projects that, I will always remember as a city administrator. It's one that, brings joy to my heart because it truly started from a grassroots effort. It started during COVID with, the closing of the swimming pool. Neil, if you remember that, and I know the mayor and council at the time remembers those, love the emails and phone calls from the constituents. But this is what happens when you put that in action. And so a direct result from those folks and their voices, you all created a committee. It was an 18-member committee with a deadline that was nowhere near possible to meet, and we met it. We met it by working together as a community and as citizens of Valley Center, and that's what makes my job the best, is when we can get a group of citizens together, figure out what's the problem, and find solutions that are workable and manageable. And we did that with the rec center. I mean, it worked all of the staff, all the council. I mean, everyone worked hard to get that vision on the ballot. And then to get that voter approved sales tax in November of 2020, to get that approved was a huge accomplishment. It had been tried a time or two before. November 2020. And then we started collecting that sales tax in April of 2021. Well, of course, the state is going to give you estimates on the dollar amount that you're going to receive. And, you always are conservative. And so, that's how we came up with that first initial number. Well, like the rest of the world and, our house valuations, thanks to our county, those increase over time. And I'd be danged if we didn't increase our sales tax revenue as well. And so that then made it possible to, build the facility that we're going to see and that most of you have already seen this coming Saturday from 9 to 11 for the open house, and then the ribbon cutting at 11. And then, of course, memberships after 11, because we do have to kind of start the clock on actually receiving some membership fees so we can help pay for everything. But all that is because of the committee and the hard work that everyone put together for the last 4+ years. And so just want to thank you all for the opportunity. I'm proud to be your city administrator for during the project and for many, many years to come. And it'll be exciting to finally have that project done. And I think the location turned out the best. We've been able to enjoy it as city staff, the steering committee, members of council during the soft opening and challenging the staff. So when they're inundated with a whole bunch of people on Saturday and for the weeks to come, that they don't feel overwhelmed. And so it's been a pleasure getting that opportunity as well and sharing that with you all and with the steering committee. So I'll stand for any questions on that. Any questions on the record? Otherwise, next Friday, even though he's not here, it's a very important date. And so it's Councilmember Dale Kurtstetter's birthday next Friday, the 28th. So, even though he's not here, I wish him a happy early birthday because I'm sure he's watching from home. So thank you all.
On the council reports, I just want to comment on how good Meridian looks with them flags and everything flying. That is an awesome sight. It looks really nice. Snow removals going as well as it could with as much snow as we got. I got people from North Dakota that said they didn't get this much snow yet this year. So I just want to thank the staff for that and keep up the good work. That's all I have. Gee, we can start down. Ron.
Yeah, this evening I got something I want to pass on. I've always been curious about the sites that are in Valley Center. And with the help of the Department of Health and Environment, Bureau of Environmental Identified Sites, they sent me a copy of all 6 areas in Raleigh Center themselves, if that city limits basically. It gives a status. It's here. I'm going to leave this with the city administrator. It gives you exactly what has gone. I'll give you an example here. Conoco is an abandoned on 69th and Clarence. It was crude oil, environmental control in place, yes. And they explain what's going through it. That's one of the few that does have active information. Then there's some of the other ones. One of them's abandoned was corner of Main Street. The old not the car dealer, but the other guy. Martell. I think that's what it is. Wasn't it Martell? One on the corner of Main Street.
Shaw's.
River Eddy.
Yeah.
Where the garage was at.
Shaw's.
Or Shaw's.
Used to be Vickers. Yeah.
Her engineer showed that it's abandoned, but they do keep track. Because they left, I guess.
Yeah, there's test wells there, and there's a couple in the vacant lot, I believe, over here. Yeah.
But if you're interested, it's fine. Also, I'd like to thank Paul for his service for the program that we worked on and making the presentation. Both Dave and Deborah Foster was very helpful. Made me really do some homework on some stuff, and I didn't. And we had some good arguments. We had some good saying, yeah, this is what we want to do. Other than that, that's all I got. Thank you.
Robert?
I don't have anything.
Clint?
Yeah, I was just going to echo the road clearing. I was out about 4:45 in the morning on Wednesday, and there was mounds of snow that were being moved, and so I could tell that they were working overnight. So just want to applaud that, and that's all I have.
Dan?
I have nothing.
Gina?
Nothing.
Motion to adjourn.
A motion
Second.
And a second. There we go. To adjourn. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.